anyways, but as you were saying, you know, this collective, but then everything in the system, I'll just call it the system, right? The control grid, and the output of the media and entertainment and fashion and all of that stuff has, and that's where I really do feel like very strong with Gigi is, it's the material, we're sinking into the depths of materialism, where everything is material goods, material requirements, and even these good people that we're talking about, you know, salt of the earth or however you want to describe them, they don't have an aware consciousness that that's what's been going on. And so they just follow it along.
What's keeping them from having that consciousness, that understanding? Why don't they have it?
That's a question that I talk about all the time with people. Like, what's the difference? What makes you or me or others able to see through the ruse, as it were, right? And strive for something deeper, more loving, more in contact with spirit. I don't have an answer for that. You know, one could say, oh, well, they're young souls. I mean, what do you think?
Well, I definitely think it's a lack of experience in some way, most definitely. Like maybe, and what I don't like is this, you know, splitting, and these beings are superior and these are inferior, or this or that. I mean, that's pretty. While that can be true in some aspect, it's very slippery. It's a very slippery slope to. But yes, lack of experience. That's the only real, you know, truth that
Right.
comes to my mind.
It doesn't have to go into a superiority above or more than or whatever. However, it's kind of obvious that some people have an expanded consciousness through their experiences. So they tend to see things in a much more expanded way.
It's
And
like a, you know, like a 7-year-old or a 9-year-old can ride a bicycle, and a 2-year-old cannot. And you cannot say that the 9-year-old is superior to the 2-year-old. It's just, you know, the way it is. I mean, it's nothing superior about it. It's just they're not meant to be. They're not there yet.
Yeah. So you know, like when you look at yourself, like what do you realize about yourself and the things you've been going through in your life and the challenges? And certainly you've had a lot of experience in the astral realm.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like some days I feel like I live more, I'm alive more there than here. I mean, as weird as that sounds, but I don't know. What was the question again? Because it's like
Well,
like
it's
three questions in one question. Yeah.
okay. In the sense that most people are viewing the world as a materialistic world, right? And they don't have an expanded consciousness outside of that with the unseen, the different astral
Well,
beings.
I think a part of the issue is that the chicken and the egg, because they don't have contact and they're unable to see, you know, hidden aspects of reality, that makes them more material. Because once you know, you see beings or ghosts, or you see spirits, or you have, you know, experiences like you've, you know, identify yourself with the creation and everything and all that nice stuff, because it's not just bad stuff, it's also wonderful stuff. Then of course it's impossible for you to be materialistic. It's impossible to function normally. So but I don't know what comes first. I think this spirituality comes first, and without asking for it, it's just there with some people based on, I don't know,
Well,
past lives and this and that. So, but you know, even these people that are so materialistic, they had past lives too, and many lives, not one or two, and
mhm,
still they're not remembering, they're not feeling, they're not empathic enough. I don't know.
well, I'm trying to write about that right now, and I'm having a problem with it because
What are you writing? Like,
just about, the aspect of an expanded consciousness or an awareness and what that actually is. I am, right? Like, what am I? I mean, I guess that I could reverse that question. What am I? And having had all these experiences in my own life that have put me in contact with entities, demonics, beauty, sorrow, all of these things that it comes together. And there is a whole school of thought that this creation is basically ruled by Satan or the demiurge, right? That the creation itself was the physicality of the creation. And so every time I try to write about it, I find myself kind of coming up to another new thought form. And then my big question is, okay, if you want to go along with that Gnostic belief of the demiurge and the archons and can get into all of that, but then who created the demiurge? Right? Like, where is that beautiful source point of creation that includes everything? And
yeah,
could we have joy without sorrow? I mean,
I always find lacking all these theories, and that somehow we're ruled by a evil demiurge, and he gets to make decisions, and he gets to rule over the earth, while there are powerful beings that are caught in a negative loop, and in a weird state. I never, I don't feel like uh, this reality is ultimately controlled by something other than just joy and love and beauty. Even if, even if it's like like a Russian doll, you can open and open and open, but in the end, everything stems from that higher, clean, loving, joyful energy.
I like to hear that, Christy. I mean, I've sensed that too many times in my life to deny that it's true. I have sensed it, and I've just happened to be in a place right now within myself where it's not super present in my life at the moment. And I guess that's also part of it, no?
Yeah.
And I had said
Another
something.
thing,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say,
Well, I feel that
I'm listening.
you first.
No, you.
No, you first.
No.
Okay. So no, my point was like, I'm even forgetting what I'm. That these discussions that we're having, which are pretty awesome and nice and warm your heart, are gonna be viewed by the vast majority of people like philosophy, or maybe interesting, but maybe some are not gonna think it's interesting at all. But the old teachers, even before Jesus, and everybody that had any understanding of this, how these things work, it's like you cannot just teach this, you cannot just say this to somebody on the street who is not ready and it's not in the place of because it's gonna bounce like, like hitting, like a ball hitting a wall.
Mhm.
And that's another of the challenge, that another of the challenges that we, again, I'm not making we like something special or whatever, but like people like us that have a vision, maybe we're wrong, maybe we're insane, doesn't matter, we have a vision. And I've noticed that the vision is almost impossible to impart to people that really, they're nice people, decent people, but you cannot talk about these things with them.
Mhm. I think that's where I'm stuck right now in my own self, is like use of words to point at something that is outside the scope of most people's ability to comprehend. Right, so you use words, and I mean, I've written in many different ways. Sometimes I go into this really mystical place, and I recognize that for very few people could read my words and take something from it. So the other aspect of that is, and
Yeah, but that's so elitist. That sounds so elitist, and that's the paradox that
but
I personally, I'm unable to solve, because you sound so elitist and you're so right in the same time, and it's like, I don't know. Do you understand what I want to say?
I do, but see, that's where
Yeah,
maybe the paring away is coming more right in my own face right now, is like how much of this me, right, this physical body form talking to you is still involved in its own ego necessity. And that's what I'm feeling like. There's some layer that has to come off here. And I'm not sure even what that is or how that can become accomplished in some way, but it's certainly not going to be by me. It's going to be some spiritual. It's like you were saying, like earlier, it's like you can't, uh, you can't make spirit come to you. You can't make a deal with it. You can't do anything other than be in that field and allow it to do whatever it needs to do for you. And that's where I'm just tired, Christian. I'm tired of, and that's why I'm having a difficult time writing, because I'm like, what's the point of more words? And I
I'm,
do
I
know.
think there is always a point. There is always a point, and there is always a reason why we're here. And even if it all goes to crap and everything, like 5% of the population survives, from that 5%, something has to bloom better. Something has to be, you know, go to the next level in a way.
Mhm. I sound like you
Another,
know. I remember when
yeah,
you used to say this to me all the time. What's the point? What's the point? But
I still, I still have like days that I go there myself in that darker place. So yeah, especially but I usually come back much faster these days from that state. So
that's my experiential body that lets me know that whatever I'm going through right now, whether it's a confusion or just simply allowing myself to feel sadness and just be okay with that, that there's going to come something will burst forward out of that, that will be stronger. And, going a little deeper about other people, I do use words and I do speak with people. I'm aware that when my energy is aligned or centered or balanced, or if I'm in sitting in peace, there is an energy that's being transmitted, and there's nothing stopping that energy from touching those around me, and I know it does.
it does, yeah, it does, it
And
does.
so I don't need to explain it, although I'm want to explain things. um You know,
No,
this,
but even the expectations, do you have personal expectations,
mm,
like
not
with your
really.
life or with humanity? Do you
I can't.
other than
I can't.
yeah, other than you expect and you feel like humanity has to grow in some way or another, but you don't know how's that going to play. Maybe
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm sure we're going to grow somehow. I'm sure we're going to grow, but it may be very painful. It may be very brutal and painful, but there is going to be growth.
Hmm.
That's
Well, I would agree with you. And, you know, that idea of expectation, I mean, it's probably there in me, right? It's like probably right below the surface of like wanting to see positive change, whether it's in myself or in other or in, you know, my property or, you know, taking care of my cats or whatever. But experience tells me that, you know, there should be no expectation because I'm not the arbitrator of how anybody else is going to view the world or grow or do, nor do I know when, call it grace or spirit, may touch them in a way that I have no idea how that can happen.
yeah. But also cats can go, can go away in the morning and you never see them again. That happens all the time.
Well, that's another thing. It's like losing my friend Betsy, you know, is like, and you've confronted your mother's passing and you're looking at my father and your father, and you know that this physical life form will meet its end.
Yeah.
And so, the what goes on after that, and what is an I am state of awareness, and will we I mean, so much has been talked about, like we come back into life after life after life and we don't remember who we are. And I tend to disagree with that. I think we do remember who we are. It's just that we don't remember it in a linear mental process. But this life that we're living right now is the culmination of all those lives. So we can know
Yeah, and also one remembers when it's ready to remember and when it's necessary and when it's the time to remember.
it.
So,
Yeah,
I mean,
that's another question people ask me all the time. Why do I remember my past lives? And they don't have any idea of it. And I can't even answer that, not really. It's just been my experience in this life when some of the veils started coming off. And perhaps it's because I never I looked out at life when I was a child and I looked out at what I was immersed in, and I felt like a stranger to it and it didn't make sense to me. So it would be natural for me to go looking for something else.
and the Ice Queen.
The ice queen, you remember her, huh?
You
That's
mean
an
the organized piece or your past life?
oh
What do
my,
you mean?
oh, that one, yes, I know. And the Atlantean, and yeah. But isn't that beautiful though, Christian, when you think about it? That if you're observant of your interaction with the material realm and what you do or create, or is that it's always talking to you. It's always
Yeah.
showing you something about you. And people are so detached from that they don't see it. They don't see that what they're manifesting is actually them.
And attractions, there are things that attract you and habits that you don't know where they're coming from. And those are a very, good hint of who you used to be in some past life.
Mhm. Yeah, and do we even need to remember our past lives? I don't really think so, but I do feel like we need to know ourselves. And that's self-observation, that's being able to look at
Well, I don't
look.
think we need to remember, every past life because we may have hundreds or I don't know. But I do think that some of those are very important, and from those important there are some that have unhealed traumas. So like 2 or 3, or maybe 1, or but there are certainly past lives that are important for this one, or for the next, or and you are repeating something now that is not necessarily related to all the past lives, but is related to the most important other traumas, or most important, evolution or whatever. So it's important and it's necessary. Not all of them, and I
Well,
don't know. That's my take. Yeah.
you could, like, in my case, right? I have had memories, I don't remember complete lives, but I do remember pieces of lives. And they are important to me because they've shown me this I am right now in this life. And that's my thing with the Gnostics, right? Because I can keep going back and back on my track. And why did I get it? So I'm attracted to, let's say, reading Gnostic texts, right? And as many old different creation stories or however it is, but that tells me something about me, because I wouldn't be attracted to that if there wasn't something in me that remembers it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. What's your connection with Mary Magdalene?
You tell me. I mean, it's one of those enigmatic aspects of my being, because I've had not just my own memories of Mary Magdalene, but my visit to Rennes-le-Château, the people that I've met in my life, the males in my life who have, seen Mary Magdalene in me. And
Like Bill Ryan?
yeah, but before that too, Pete, you obviously see something of Mary Magdalene in me. And so when I
Okay,
contemplate,
but I see something of Mary Magdalene in many women.
well, that's
I
what
mean,
I
not
was,
in many, but
that's exactly what I
yeah.
wanted to say, is like, it's not my identity per se. I see Mary Magdalene as the loving aspect of the feminine, that she, whatever you want to call her, an oversoul, or she's something that's in every woman. And yet it becomes it's been tangible in my life, and I question it for many reasons. I just do. And you've probably had this experience in some way. Usually people that have a lot of energy coming in have this experience where you see something or perceive something or feel something that deeply moves you. It sends out ripples. And I've watched other people pick those ripples up. It could be something as simple as just a thought form.
Yeah. Go
So,
on.
so, I mean, I don't pretend to understand it or claim anything to it. But it is a driving force in me to be as pure as I can be in this life, to not hold negative, what we call negative emotions or judgments or anger at other people. And for the most part, Christian, I feel like that I'm there. I don't even know where there is, but um, does that does that have any resonance with you?
Yeah, it does actually. I was looking at the clouds. It's getting cloudy while thinking of what you are saying. I mean, I'm multitasking.
Okay. You know what I was thinking this morning, maybe to change up the conversation, is like, there's
To
something
take an
about,
apple pie? No, no.
yeah, apple pie, yeah, and sharks and, tigers and, things like that. And what it really hits me again and again, about having met you and know you and gone through many different things with you, but there's this childlike innocence with a relationship, and it's apple pie, I mean, it's whipped cream on coffee. It's so innocently childlike that I don't feel very many people ever touch that or get to experience that as adults. And
Yeah,
so,
I only experienced it with you. I never experienced it before or since. So
right, so like there's this secret child language, right? Like the secret garden, right? And you get to go there, right? And
yeah,
and then there, and I just look, I mean, that's what I'm feeling the heaviness of right now of the world, is that it's like everybody's so damn serious. Everybody's, I mean, I'm not, people are trying to figure things out, and people are doing what they feel like they can do to ameliorate what we're going through or to confront what we're going through. But that laughter, and I always go back to this memory I had sometime long before we fell. And it's just a sense of freedom and laughter and joy. And I mean, it's before the manifest, that's for sure.
yeah, but we always have that in us, within us,
Mm-hmm.
that never left us. That state and that feeling, it's always there.
Mm-hmm. So perhaps that's, the most valuable thing to bring forward for people, is to remember that. And even if they don't have a conscious memory of it, to at least laugh and, I don't know. You know what I mean. You do know what I
I
mean.
know, I do know what you mean.
Uh-huh. And so perhaps, Christian, yeah. So can I ask you now a heavy question?
Sure.
Okay, so I know you get called to, what do I call them, astral battles quite often. Is that true?
It's not like battles, like I have a, I have some friends and we have swords and we battle. It's not like that. It's more like confrontations, like I'm presented to either a place or a landscape or a dimension, and sometimes it's weird, like it's not even, I don't know where that is. It doesn't look anything like Earth, but doesn't matter. But it's not like a battle. Like sometimes it gets pretty bad, but other times it's just being there and just smiling, and it's enough. And then I wake up and that was that. So
Well, you said
but yeah,
something,
yeah, go ahead.
to me the last time we talked. Well, you've said it several times. And you and I tend to agree with this, is like when confronted by whatever, an entity or a demonic force or a bad dude, uh, however that is perceived within our visual realm, that the only thing that really works is love.
Yeah, that's actually if you get in trouble, like in real bad trouble, the only effective way out that I know is just to think of somebody you love, even if it's a cat or a dog or a brother or a niece or a woman or somebody or your mother or whatever, and just that feeling by itself, it's so powerful that it gives you something to cling to hold on to, not to be taken over by complete darkness. And that's like from instinct. It's not that I read somewhere you have to do that. It's an instinctual thing that I do sometimes, but less and less because, you know, if you're not, as you get more experienced dealing with various energies, you get in trouble less and less. But yeah.
So would you say that it's more learning how to keep your own energy body intact and aligned with love
Yeah,
or, yeah, so,
that's what it is.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it is.
Uh-huh. Right, and so if you get thrown off by something that happens in your life or uh, drinking or whatever we do sometimes, right? Is that one has to bring themselves back to center and just,
Well, yeah. I mean, you are talking about something else. Of course, what you're doing is the physical plane. If you drink too much, you have to at least take a break some days or some weeks and not drink. And if you are engaged in promiscuous activities, at least you have to clean up your act and not, But so that's true. But what I was talking about is being taken over by so much evil, but not because you drank too much or you engage in promiscuous activities or you did drugs or anything, just because of this battle that's sometimes going on, not all the time. And then the only way to ground yourself is, or for me at least, is to think of people or beings, cats, dogs that I love. And but I guess it's you could apply it in your day-to-day life. But
mhm,
if you are doing things that put you out of balance, it's not, you're going down.
mhm,
Doesn't, I mean, you cannot keep, doing things that drain you of energy and lower your vibration, which is even worse, and then keep on, oh, I'm gonna do, I'm gonna inject myself with whatever drug, and then I'm gonna drink, and then I'm gonna go to a swinger party, but then I'm gonna think about somebody I love, and everything is gonna be okay.
right.
So it's not doesn't work like that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask something and it kind of slipped away while you were talking. Oh, I know what it is. Um, I guess I would say, share a little of my experience with working with um, darker entities, and what we were talking about earlier is love, and I found that um, that even within the darkest of the dark, there's an impulse for their own freedom from the place that they're stuck in. And so, I mean, there's the really bad ones that will flee, but there are other ones that kind of hang out because they know they're in some sort of trapped space too, and it can't be pleasant.
Yeah, I changed my mind so many times regarding this, because like 2 years ago I was very empathic to all these beings, and then like 4 years ago I was so like not having anything, and then so I it's because the thing that put them in that state is their choices. They made
Mhm,
choices and
mhm,
they got in that state. And now, as much as, you know empathy I have for them, it's like they're still they're still okay with using you and your energy
mhm,
to, go by, to, or even try to escape. I mean, that's another thing. Most of them don't realize even now that there is no escaping the place they are by doing things like the way they do. There is a way, maybe, and I don't even know for sure, but I think there is a way for many of these beings to completely surrender and let go. But they are trying to escape from that place using the same methods that got them there. So that's kind of,
I just want
not
to
going to work.
also
Yeah,
like overlay that thought with, let's just say, the human condition, that humans are in this state collectively or however because of choices they made,
yeah, exactly.
right? And so there's
But
not really much difference in it. Yeah. So if
but
we
we are in this together because all these humans that are around us, where we maybe the more experienced spirits could have done. I'm not saying maybe they did their best, but maybe the more experienced spirits could have done a better job in awakening the others. So it's very it's very hard to establish, blames or whatever. I know for sure we're in this together. Nobody's gonna ascend. Nobody's gonna be raptured. We're going this together, and we'll see how it goes. But yeah,
it's a sobering thought, Christian, what you just said, that we're in this together. And I mean, in some ways that's very, very, very true. In other ways, we are individuated.
yeah,
And
we are.
so, how that's going to play out, I'm sure you wouldn't even venture to try to guess, nor would I. Like it's sort of like standing back and
No,
watching.
if there's going to be a split, in my opinion, yeah, a split is possible, but not while you're alive. It's not going to be while you're alive. So maybe between lifetimes, or
Okay.
you're not going to incarnate here, but right now, until you die, you are here. You're not going anywhere. And mm,
So like, okay, so that brings up another question, because I mean, these are things I ponder quite often. So when we leave this physical body, right, when we make our passage, and how do we not get lost? How do we maintain the,
what do you mean get lost? How do you think you could get lost? I mean, is that even
well, I
possible?
think
How
people
do you?
do get lost. I think they get pulled into false heavens. I think they have no idea who they are. So they're just like,
But they're not lost. They're exactly where they're supposed to be. They're not lost. They made yet another choice. It's not being lost.
okay, so let me make it just more personal then, the question. Like in the giving over of the material, right? When you move back into spirit, do you have any perception of where your consciousness might be resting or anchored to?
Are you asking me personally, or like
Yeah, because I
what do I
can't ask
think of?
it for anybody else.
Well, if you ask me what I think of myself after I'm gonna drop dead, I think I'm gonna know exactly where I'm going, and I think it's gonna be impossible to trick me into anything but the joy that I already experienced so many times, and that's the real thing, and not nothing synthetic. And
That
that's that. I mean, I don't even care about details, but
okay. No, you got it.
yeah.
You nailed it. I mean, that is as simple as it is. Because anything else is the mind complicating the scene. Right? And then it goes back to what I was saying about that state of joy, that state of like, it's a resonance. It's what it is. It's
And
like a reality of,
if that's pretty underrated in human, like right now on Earth, that state of pure joy, of pure bliss, of pure child. Like when a child gets a new toy, those first 5 seconds, those are what I mean. Those are the thing. Or when you have an orgasm, or there are many other, you know,
Yeah.
comparisons, but they're always they last very, you know, a short time.
Yeah, I know.
And then you lose it, and then you're like, I want to get that again. Like,
So that's home.
of course you can. Yeah, that's home.
That's home. Yeah. And that's where I feel like because I started out talking to you right now, it's like I feel like I don't have that sense in me at the moment. I know it's not lacking. I know it's there. It's just not manifesting in that, that abandonment of laughter and joy at the moment. But that doesn't mean it's gone.
No, I don't think it ever goes away completely.
No.
Even Lucy, your cat Lucy, has
My
it
cat
somewhere.
Lucy. My cat Lucy. Yeah, what about her? She's a trip.
Well, it's
Huh?
not my cat. It's yours.
I mean, I can't profess ownership of Lucy or any other animal for that matter. But no, I mean, as we always said, she's twisted, right? But when you observe her, she has she does have joy. And she does do weird things, but I watch her, I get to watch her and, you know, um, just like flying her butt up the tree all of a sudden out of nowhere. She's like laying around on the ground and all of a sudden, oh, I'm going up the tree. Are you still there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm thinking.
Mm.
I'm being silent.
That's okay. Yeah. Well, I'm really happy you let me record this conversation. And
Maybe, yeah.
no, it's really beautiful because it's simple talk, Christian. It's like right home to the point. It's not philosophy, it's not theology, it's a state of being, I guess, that you described very well.
Yeah, and you can delete it at any time you want. So
Yeah, okay, well, I'm going to turn off the recording and then we can talk about other things.